All right, so I got the inside scoop on what is the biggest, fastest, and heaviest EUC ever made. And I'm not sure if it's gonna be for everyone. Let's just get that out of the way. Let's get started talking about it. This is the Super Master Pro. This is Wheel Good Time. All right, ladies and lads, this is gonna be the very first video ever made about the incoming Super Master Pro made by Begode. This is going to be a 168 volt EUC with 5,000 to 6,000-ish watt-hours of battery. We are comparing that to the Master Pro, which has 4,800 watt-hours of battery. Quite the big difference there. Also, this thing is going to be between 22 and 24 inches. We don't have any photos of it yet, but it's looking like it's gonna be a pretty crazy fast wheel. Now this EUC is already coming on the heels of the recently announced Begode Master Pro version 3, or V3 as they call it. Now the Master Pro V3 is a 5,000 watt motor with a 4,800 watt-hour battery, which has a 50E, 50GB, or 50S batteries on it. Now this thing is able to go at sustained speeds of potentially upwards of 60 miles per hour GPS, or wheel speed, we're talking upwards of 106 kilometers per hour. That's just the Master Pro V3. We've also got the Super Master Pro, which we don't have all the details on, but we do know this. It's going to be way more powerful with 168 volts, and it's going to be with all of those batteries with 5,000 to 6,000 watt-hours of battery. We're talking roughly 140 pounds, give or take. That's unreal. That's gonna be super duper heavy. But with that heaviness comes a ridiculous amount of range. I don't think we really need much more than 100, 150 miles of range. It just caters to an extremely niche segment of the EUC market that I just think is really not necessary. But what does this mean for the version 3, version 2, version 1 Master Pro that already exists? Well, to put it bluntly, it's dead. They're not gonna be selling any more after this. They're not gonna be making any more after this because the new one is going to be released. The one tester that will be getting this EUC is gonna be getting it roughly around April or so, and so I don't really have much information beyond that. If I had to guess, I would say that it's going to be actually released to the general public roughly June or so. So that's 6 months out, but now that we know this information, the V3 Master Pro is dead. Goodbye. The reason why I think the Master Pro is going to be dead is because of Begode's track record. Something that Begode is doing which could very well kill their business and definitely kill their profits is something called the Osborne Effect. Now the Osborne Effect is something that happened with the Osborne Computer Corporation, where basically they killed off their own company by announcing the successor to their product that they had already previously announced. So they had this one computer, they were gonna be releasing it, and then they're like, you know what? Before we even announce it, we are going to be releasing something new, better, faster, stronger, and it's just, it killed the company. Everyone canceled their pre-orders on the original Osborne computer, and then basically the company ran out of money because they were trying to upgrade to the new latest greatest thing before the first one even happened. Does this ring any bells to you? The Extreme Bold GT was announced and it was given to a few lucky people, and I think they maybe did one batch of that, I'm not quite sure. But the point is, they announced the GT Pro just very shortly after, like a month or two later, effectively killing any chance of success of the GT. They basically did a very similar thing with the Master Pro version 1. I personally am riding a Master Pro version 1 that I converted into a Master Pro version 2. The reason for that is because they stopped selling the parts for the V1. I had to order all new parts to make a V2, and essentially it's an almost entirely different wheel with the exception of the motherboard, which remains version 1, and the batteries, which are just, you know, basically interchangeable battery boxes. The point is, they only released one single batch of the Master Pro version 1, and I think it was fairly successful, but that was the top end price on that, and that's where we're going with this next. The V1 Master Pro was priced at $4,600 MSRP. That's a lot of money. So was the InMotion V13. It was a lot of money. $4,600. But now with the Supermaster Pro, guess what the price tag is? $8,500. You heard that right. $8,500 US is the cost of the Supermaster Pro. That is absolutely unacceptable, and they have now successfully priced out their own customers. Customers are not going to be paying $8,500 for an EUC that they are already going to be getting rid of in the next maybe 6 months to a year. They have to be able to offer the parts and customer service for this EUC that they just simply don't have a track record of doing. If they're going to be releasing a successor on the Supermaster Pro, say the V2, for example, in the next 6 months, do you know how that will enrage your customer base? I'll tell you one thing, count me out. I will not be putting $8,500 into this EUC that is likely going to be getting its successor announced in the next 6 to 12 months. Absolutely not. Honestly, Leaperchem has very high-priced EUCs. For example, the Lynx MSRP is $4,200. It's pretty much widely accepted as overpriced. It's a premium product to be sure, but it is really, really expensive. The one thing that the Lynx has as a value proposition is the fact that this wheel is not going to be replaced with something else in the next 3 to 6 to 12 months. So you're going to be able to get the parts that you need way down the road. They have a commitment to their customers that really you don't see with just about any other brand, because they don't honestly make that many EUC models. They started with the Sherman, then we got the Patton, the SS, we've got the Lynx now. We just don't have, oh yeah, and we got the Abrams, but we don't talk about that one. They are focused with their product strategy, and they're not just releasing a bazillion EUCs all willy-nilly. And yes, the price is really high for those, but at least they're not releasing its successor 3 to 6 to 12 months down the road and then pricing it at this incredibly high price tag. Yes, they are admittedly pricing their EUCs very high, and I think arguably it's not really worth the price tag, but at least they're not announcing its successor right away. I predict that there will only be one single batch of the Supermaster Pro ever made. And frankly, it's likely just to be sitting on the shelves in a warehouse unsold at that price tag. I suggest that they bring the price tag down about $2,000. Let's go with maybe $6,000. Even then, that is still unjustifiably high, but I know that batteries and motors can cost a ton of money. Regardless, this wheel is dead on arrival. It's going to be a flop before it even gets into customers' hands. And I really, really hope they reverse course just on the price tag basis alone. This has been an arms race of who can have the highest range, the highest voltage, the highest speeds for a long time. And now we're paying the price, not just with the price tag, but also the weight because of all the batteries that we're throwing in there. Now, in my opinion, I think this wheel is dead. What do you guys think? Are EUC batteries priced unjustifiably high? If you do, make sure you hit that like button on the video, and of course hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And of course, if you guys want to get the absolute best value out of your next EUC purchase, make sure you hit the video description where, for the most part, there's a ton of discount codes that are all Wheel Good Time, one word. So you might as well just mash that in every time you buy an EUC or EUC accessory, such as E-Rides pedals, for example. You can get yourself some pretty sick discounts. So just give it a try no matter what your EUC vendor is. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.